Another day, another project. Today, this Cabrio 2000 VW convertible, sometimes when you turn it on, there's like a little puff of smoke that comes out of the vents into the cab. And when I looked it up, it's because there's a small leak in the heater core. And when it gets up to temp, the little coolant that's in there burns off and floats into the vent. The easy fix here is to just circumnavigate the heater core, so let's do that instead of pulling the whole dash apart and trying to replace the core itself, because who cares? Yeah, replace this strut so that the hood stays up easy. It's a new alternator I swapped in. Cleaned this up a little bit, taped off some hoses that had some leaks and stuff. Fixed up the latch so that it works. This grill was missing. So right there, these two, if we just link them, it's no longer gonna be going into that little element and then coming back out. Looping right there, so that the coolant system is essentially the same, you're just deleting the heater. Let's do it. Yeah. So I got it all in, but it's too kinked. So I'm just gonna have to go get something that's not gonna kink in a 180 like this. Okay, here's the final product of a hodgepodge of parts to get a U-turn to happen at the right distances and not kink. I think the main thing was I didn't want to use a hose that was gonna kink right here, and then that would just restrict coolant flow and overheat. So let's put this in. Upside down. Okay, here's the finished product coming out here, looping through here, and sending back there. Let's go for a little rip. My landlord has been complaining about his Nissan truck having a weird throttle problem. I'm gonna see if we can figure it out. He's super handy. Look, he's building this whole structure back here. And what, this battery is just dead? Because yours is more revving, right? Like it won't rev past
2500.
2500, okay. So it's saying it has a communication error with the vehicle's computer. The computer's unplugged. Yeah, it's right here. Yeah. Because this is idling super high.
Yeah, boy, crazy.
Was it always idling this high or no?
It actually did that months ago, and then we did a relearning, and it improved. It lowered it.
Okay.
But it never got down to where it really should be.
So it says it wants the RPMs to be below 1200, and we're at 2300. Other people on forums and stuff like that, they were removing like 2 or 3 of the cylinders, fuel injectors, at least the power to them, in order to like bring the revs down and then have it learn from there as far as air volume went. But we're just gonna run the test and see what it does. So it's been more than 5 minutes and it's still doing this idle surging. And this is just wheel of death, waiting, waiting, waiting. So I think I'm gonna kill the test and then restart it and see if it changes anything. I turned it off, turned it back on, and now it's idling at about 1400. Restarted the test here. It wants it at under 1200, it said, and obviously we're a little above that, but maybe on the second round it'll catch it better. And when it did it on mine, it brought it down to about 750 RPMs, 650 RPMs, which is really where it wants to idle. Let's see if it goes. Ran the relearn test a couple times. It hasn't brought it down to what I think is normal yet, so I'm gonna drive it around a little bit and see if maybe putting it under load changes what the computer thinks, and then bring it on back and we'll see what's going on. Let's see. Same. A random internet forum advice and see if we can get the RPM down below 1200 if you pull an injector plug.
The other thing I was gonna do is you have to pull the intake manifold to change the spark plugs.
Fun.
Yeah, and that needs to be done, but I was gonna
got it. All right.
Follow
Let's try.
the code that instantly pops up every time is throttle actuator relay.
If you're gonna chuck that ECU, you know what you might do is just pull it open and see if there's anything burned.
Yeah,
on the board.
It says the
circuit's open.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So it means like something's grounded out
that
wrong.
circuit is in there on this vehicle, on this 4-cylinder model, is in the computer.
Oh, yeah, pull the board out and see if there's anything burned.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, that's what you were gonna do while I was unplugged.
Yeah. So that's why we could never find that relay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I found it's in there.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right, so sounds like that's more of an ECU issue on that Nissan. The circuit that was faulting as open, that controls the throttle on that unit, I guess is in the ECU motherboard. So they're gonna get another computer and swap it out, and hopefully that solves the problem. And we are on to the next project. This is a 2006 Honda Civic. Look at this little beast. It's so fun to drive. I've already done a deep clean on the inside and it's in much better shape. The main thing that I had to do on this car was get it to reset the immobilizer so that it could talk with the key. So I reset all of that and got it running and driving. And so now we're just gonna look to some body stuff. First thing that's most obvious is that's not right. Was driving it last night though, and it started doing a little bit of a sticky steering column, steering rack and pinion. So I'm gonna check the power steering and see what's going on. I didn't hear any whining from the pump or anything like that, but a lot of people throw the wrong fluid at these and then it can act up or cause problems or deterioration. So hopefully the steering rack and pinion is all okay, but let's take a look. All right, power steering is filthy over here. It's full, it's over full, so that's where the level is supposed to be. I wonder if I just run it now, because the fluid looks to be about the right color, golden like that. Hopefully that's the right fluid. Let me just see if now changing the level changes anything. Let's take it for a test drive. Nothing so far. Feels good. Seems fine. I'm curious about that actually. If you Honda guys know, like if the power steering reservoir is over full, is that gonna inhibit the ability for the pump to get fluid through the system? Because now that it's down at a normal level, not showing any symptoms of it not working. Let me know. Has a sun visor? Doesn't. Fixed. Nice. Moving on. So the inside of this car, I deep cleaned already. It's in much better shape than it was, but the headliner, a little rough. So somebody put all of these little pins in it, which is holding it up pretty good, except right here. So that's flapping in the wind. Let's try to make it as good as possible without having to redo the whole top. Just make sure to inhale as much of that as you can. Woof. Ooh, okay. Oh, sticky. Better than it was. That's what we're going for. Well, look who it is. How's it going, Daisy girl? What do you think this is? This paint job is already so ridiculous that I don't think it matters that we're just gonna do touch-ups here. I wasn't gonna spray these panels, but they're so different. Like, okay, and that is a quick and dirty on fixing some surface rust on this cruiser, as we call it, cruiser vehicle. It's patchy, it's not the right way to do it, but the surface rust has been tamed to some degree. All right, we've got ourselves a Chevrolet Captiva. Cool little SUV. It's got a no crank, no start. Pretty new, it's 2012. But the fact that it doesn't run makes it less good. So I've thrown a battery in. Let's see what she does. All right. Click. Starter issues? Let's try the old tried and true. Nothing. Well, it sounds like it has power going to the starter because you can hear it click. Let's put more juice on it and see what happens. More power. Slightly louder click, but no click, 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 click. Let's try and see if maybe the Bindex is stuck. Maybe rocking the motor back and forth a little bit, see if it'll release off and drop back into its little home. The motor's not rotating. Previous owner said that it ran and then they parked it and then it just wouldn't start. The coolant overflow tank is empty, which makes me think maybe there's a head gasket leak and it drained into a cylinder and is hydro-locked, which would be bad. So let's pull the plugs. Great. Look how much oil is in the throttle body. Oh no. That's bad. Fully wet. I have a feeling those Russians were lying to me. Totally caked in crud and garbage and rust. Cylinder 3 is full of water and they're all just cooked. Let's put some oil down the cylinders, see if we can get it rotating freely and blast the water out. Rotation. Welcome to the next day on this Chevy Broken. Last night I poured a bunch of ATF into the cylinders as well. You also saw the spray going in. Let's see if the ATF soaked past the rings and loosened anything up. I also want to take off the accessories belt and see if that frees up the crank at all. Maybe something else is locked up that's tightening down on that belt. Let's see, fingers crossed. So to remove the belt, you have to get a wrench on the tensioner, which they engineered so tight against this wall that you can't get a wrench on it. You have to buy a special slim wrench to take the serpentine belt off. What are you doing? So now I'm doing the sketchiest belt tensioner offload that I've ever done, but it's working. Needs a new engine. Well, you win some, you lose some. Man, I lost this one. I put 2 marks on it and I was rotating the bolt and the crank wasn't turning. So I'm probably stripping the crank bolt. Total loss, man. I really should have done a better inspection. It's my fault. So I'm just gonna button this up and drag tow it into the back and try to find a motor. So there's a guy coming to shop it right now, but I wanna show you before potentially it sells. Look at this bike. Woo boy. Sanded it down and gave it a whole paint job. It had a weird color pattern before, but now it's all slick and black. Yamaha 1600cc Roadstar. This thing has guts. Huge twin motor. Boom, boom. I mean, 1600cc, like, it's crazy. Listen to this thing. Man, if a dude buys it, so be it, but I'll be sad to see it go for sure. All right, I'm gonna end this video here. Thanks for watching. That was a bunch of projects, some wins, some losses, but that's how it goes. Welcome to the Parker's world. See you next time. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much. Bye now.